All right, guys, that's it. We are at the end. We are on 3.8, looking at effects of distribution, and then we are done with Unit 3. So today we're going to be looking at cultural ideas, practices, and innovations and how they change or disappear over time. So you need to be able to explain how the processes of diffusion results in changes to the cultural landscape. Today, you absolutely need to learn these terms, right? So we have acculturation, assimilation, syncretism, and multiculturalism, and what that means for cultural diffusion. So these are, again, some fundamental concepts to this unit. So let's start with acculturation. So this is prolonged contact between two or more cultures, and how that may result in acculturation, which is when people within one culture adopt some traits. That's key. Adopt some traits from the other culture. This is something maybe all of us can relate to in some way. So one example, an immigrant from Guatemala may choose to continue speaking Spanish in their home. However, they will also learn English to use in public, right? So again, adopting some traits while still maintaining some of their own original traits. So then we have assimilation. So this does have some differences here. So this is a subtype of acculturation in which one culture will abandon their original culture and adopt another one. This is done voluntarily, but not as often. Typically, we do see this as more like forced. So one big example from the US are Native American boarding schools. So Native Americans were forced to learn English. They were forced to cut their hair. They were forced to change their clothing. They were forced to take new names, and were abused ultimately in order to become more American. So we saw a period of time where they were called orphan trains, where Native American children were taken, put on trains, and then taken to major cities on the East Coast in the US, and forced to go to boarding schools. So they would literally separate them from their families and separate them from their culture to where they couldn't continue to speak their language, their native language, to where they couldn't continue to learn their traditions. And in those instances, they were forced to assimilate into American culture. So this is just one example. This one quote that we see down here, kill the Indian in him and save the man. So that very much was the mentality of assimilation during that time period. Then we have multiculturalism. We touched on this a little bit before. So this is the acceptance and tolerance of many different cultures which exist in close proximity to one another. So multiculturalism is highlighted by openness of others, acceptance of others, and being open to diversity. So one example, in 1971, the government of Canada established that multiculturalism is a fundamental right of all its citizens, and it is important for people to maintain their cultural identities. So this is giving value, right, to people of different backgrounds, to people of different traditions, to people of varying values and norms. So this is one quote here. We become not a melting pot, but a beautiful mosaic. Different people, different belief, different yearnings, different hopes, different dreams. So again, not trying to mesh everybody together to be the same, but more like a mosaic where we have a bunch of little individual pieces that then create a gorgeous image, right? That is kind of the underlying concept of multiculturalism. And then we have syncretism. So this is when two cultures blend together to form a new cultural trait. Okay, so this can happen between contact of different people groups, such as times of imperialism or military conquest. This can also happen through immigration or intermarriage. Probably some of the most common examples that we see have to do with religion and religious syncretism. So one example is the hearth of Santeria is in Cuba, and this was developed through the influence of African Urhoban and Roman Catholicism as a result of the Atlantic slave trade. I'm so sorry, I can't talk today. So here we see the mixing of these, African traditions, right? These African religious traditions mixing with Roman Catholicism. So, in some of these examples, right, of Santeria, we have elements of maybe certain saints or icons within certain like Latin American Catholic practices that are somewhat in line with traditions that we see from Africa, right? And that is because we have these two traits blend together and then form something new. And that is it for 3.8. We are officially done with this unit. So please make sure to be reviewing your notes and getting ready for the exam. I'll see you